Hello everybody, here's Steffi from The Makers. Welcome to our needle felting tutorial, which will demonstrate to you how to needle felt these little cacti in a small little terracotta pot. If you haven't got any of those, then you can use other pots as well, of course. So we've got a domed cactus and then a rabbit ear cactus as well. I think that's what they're called. Anyway, that's what I'm calling them. And what's special about these is that they are from the materials all are taken from our surprise box, which we had in January, and it's called Green Fingers. And it's a great opportunity actually for me today to show you the contents of a surprise box without having to spoil anything. So if you've never seen one of our subscription boxes, the surprise boxes, then this is a great time to keep your eyes peeled, because it gives you a good idea of what you might find typically in one of our surprise boxes, which are packed full with fibers and exciting accessories and all kinds of things that might inspire you to create your own project. So there are no instructions inside, and these cacti, I give credit to Alicia for those, because she gave me the idea to make the cacti, and here they are. So hopefully I'll do them justice. And first of all, I want to say that this is actually a pre-recorded live stream, because as sometimes there's a German saying and it goes like, first it turns out different, and secondly then you think. And I've had a family emergency, and I have to shoot off to Germany, and so I will not be in my usual surrounding to do live streams, and hence there is this pre-recorded live stream. But nevertheless, you're gonna have huge amounts of fun, no doubt. And I've got some funny stories to tell you, certainly concerning the little challenge that you're being given to win, perhaps win yourself a £15 gift voucher as always during our live streams. And let's just have a look what today's price is. So today's price are two £15 gift vouchers to be won by two people, so one each. And what we want to know is, have you got a green thumb? Share your best or worst gardening experience with us. And as always, you pop those into the comments on YouTube. And we're also restreaming this particular live stream on Thursday evening at 7 o'clock on Facebook, and you've got another chance to win. Again, you comment on this video, and these entries will only be accepted during the premiere broadcast on YouTube on Tuesday, which is the 26th of April at 1 o'clock, and then also again during the Facebook replay on Thursday at 28th April at 9 p.m. And this is of course British summertime, so that is actually GMT is not correct anymore. It is British summertime now. I must tell Alicia to change that. Let's maybe have a look. Normally I have a check-in who's here today. I'm not going to do this, but I know that Alicia will be here when this goes live on Tuesday. But what I'm going to show you is what's inside this surprise box. We've made a few of these boxes available. So if you wanted all the contents and you want to get crazy making cacti, or maybe you get inspired to make other things by just looking at the box, then this is the box for you. And I'm just going to go to the overhead camera, because this is so exciting. I've never been allowed to do this and show you what's actually inside. Now, I didn't check that camera before I started, so it could be potentially... it's not too bad. You can see it all good. Right, so here we go. That's January's surprise box. Very similar concept to all of the other boxes, but it's always filled with new stuff that hasn't been in a surprise box before, or at least we didn't think it had been. And of course, this is the January newsletter, so we put this to one side straight away. It's quite beautifully packed as well. You always get in our surprise box a leaflet that tells you a little story or a little background, or maybe gives you already ideas as to what you find inside the box. So this time you have green paper covered wire. You've got a mini terracotta plant pot. You've got the natural mountain sheep, which is great for making earth, or anything to do with sort of like soil and compost. And then you've got two colors here, the neon yellow and the neon pink, and if you mix those two together they actually make orange. So you've got a nice way of perhaps making a third color out of this. Then you've got the cactus green, which is a beautiful soft top. We look at them in details, and you've got some water soluble paper in there. Now sometimes we put something extra in, and on this occasion you get some really lovely little paper flowers. So that basically is the full contents of what you might find in our surprise box. Chocolate as well for those who have a bit of a sweet tooth and need nourishment, but whilst they're stabbing away or engaging your brain cells to think what might you do with this. Now this isn't a small box. There is plenty of wool, so you get quite a large wad of the neon yellow. Similarly, you get quite a lot of the pink, neon pink here. This is New Zealand merino tops. You've got definitely a large piece of water-soluble paper, and that does last a long time. If you are not familiar with this, we have lots of tutorials of how to use the water-soluble paper, and only last week did I do a tutorial on how to upcycle and embellish textiles, so you can definitely look that up, but I will be using it today as well. This is the mountain sheep, so the more earthy, rich soil color, perfect for anything to do with green finger, gardening, anything to do with that. And then this is the super soft cactus green top, as we call it, and it has got different shades of green running through it, and a little bit of this white, which reminded us so much of cacti when they have sometimes they have like little webs on them, don't they? And then there are the green wires in here, which I will also be using. So I will be using everything with the exception of these little paper flowers, which I'm going to leave in the box here, and I'm going to close this box up again. You will also see that I'm actually using very little in comparison to what you're getting in total, so you will have plenty of wool left over if you're only making a little cactus like I am. And that was exciting to actually show you all these things that you get in there, just to give you sort of an impression of the quantity again. There you go. That is typically what you might get in our surprise box. You've got lots of wire here, you've got your little plant pot, and on top of, can't even hold it all in one hand, you've got your water soluble paper here as well. So it is definitely value for money, and it's fun when you open it. Sometimes you don't know what you're getting unless you've joined our surprise box spoiler group. But I don't want to wait too long to start getting active on our little cacti, and I'm going to start with this one. So basically what you need for this one, and there are other ways of doing this, so if you have if you don't find this idea of how we do it very inspiring, or you think, oh, I know I would have done that a completely different way, go ahead. I've actually pre-cut a bit of water soluble paper, which I now can't find, so I might have to cut into this one here. And this is very freestyle, so no template or anything like this. The water soluble paper, what's special about it is that if you put it onto a template, you can actually see through it. Is see-through, so you can trace shapes around it. But for this particular project, I'm using it as a base, so that I've got straight away a fairly solid base to needle felt onto. And I'm just going to put the cacti here so you can see it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to roughly cut out a shape, a larger shape, a slightly smaller shape, and then even a smaller shape to go on top, which they're quite flat felted. So the water soluble paper is inside, but it will not get dissolved. As I said, do look up water soluble paper projects, and you'll be surprised what you can make with water soluble paper. I'm going to go to the overhead camera now, so that you can see what I'm actually doing. Apologies for my little grubby earth mat. I haven't cleaned it. I don't know where my brush is, but the brush works absolutely brilliantly if you can find it. So I'm going to just cut out a little square here, and I'm going to probably make this cactus a little bit smaller so I can spend less time on it. And then maybe the last one here. So I'm only using 3 small shapes, and now I'm going to trim these so that they are roughly a round shape. You can do this freehand, you don't need to have a template for this. You can also make it slightly that it's more oval than completely round. Any shape will do. If you look at these cacti, they have sometimes quite weird shapes. And then the last one here. So I'm going to show you how to use this, the top here. Now, what is quite interesting is that we often say, don't, these tops here, they're not great, or any tops are not great to make a 3D shape. There are little tricks that I will show you how to actually make this. I am using a multi-tool, the Clover 5 needle felting tool. Love this one. I'm also using a single needle, which is a coarse needle. And so that will help me to felt down the shape as well. And normally when we ask you to mix wool, we tell you to mix it so that the fibers keep running in the same direction, or especially if you're mixing a wool bat, it's sometimes quite hard to have them running in the same direction. Now, to use these fibers, what I would suggest is mix them up. We don't normally say this, but what you're now recreating is a little bit of an imitation wool bat. Albeit that this wool is a lot finer, and but we do want you to mix it up so that you have more of a tangled mess here, and it instantly makes the wool a little bit more lofty, because the fibers are crisscrossed in the air, you're letting the air in, and it's an almighty little mess here at the moment. And that's absolutely fine, because what we want to do is we want to fill in this shape here, and we need to get around the edges and then also felt from the other side. So we're making a flattish shape, but not too flat, because we want it to be like a well, succulent, nice and bouncy and rubber-like. So it needs to have a little bit of fatness in there. And I'm sort of imagining now how the comments are coming in regarding what worst or best gardening experiences you've had. Now, I will tell you one of mine. When my children were little, oh my goodness, I had all these ambitions of being perfect in every aspect. Bake with them, you know how you have these idealized visions of exactly how you would bring up your children, and they have these fond memories of us harmoniously working together in the garden, and being you know, it's all really lovely and so on. I have no idea where on earth I got that picture from, because usually everything I remember about bringing up my children felt a lot more chaotic and never went to plan, and certainly it was never a harmonious thing. But one thing I do remember is that one year I did try very hard to plant vegetables in a specially made vegetable bed, and we stuck with very basic things like potatoes, and everybody can grow potatoes, and we also were given some tomato plants. And I don't know if this is right or wrong, but with potato plants, apparently you've got to go around and pick off the flowers when they start flowering. By the way, what you see me do at the moment is just covering both sides with this mixed and mushed up wool. It looks a bit messy at this point. You can use your multi-tool already and get it nice and smooth. And then at some point you're going to have to neaten up the edges by folding them over whichever way to whichever side and felt them down. So I was going around the garden picking off flower heads from the potato plants, because I think what I was told, and maybe this is wrong, please put me right, I don't want to cause any terrible arguments here about should we pick off flower heads of potatoes or not. But I was told if you pick off the flower heads, then more of the growing goes into the potato rather than into flowering the plant and make it look pretty with pretty flowers. So anyway, we were picking the flower heads off, and then the next minute I turned around and the children were helping keenly, obviously, as you can imagine. And I saw them helping pick flower heads off, and they had moved on to the tomatoes. and they were picking off the flower heads of the tomatoes, and I nearly had a fit. I'm like, I just remember it was like slow motion where I just stood there. I'm like, no, don't do that. And they just had no idea why I was so upset. They genuinely couldn't tell the difference between a potato plant and a tomato plant. And of course, you know, they didn't realize that the flowers are different color. I mean, to be honest, the leaves look quite similar of a potato and a tomato plant. But yeah, that was so we had absolutely no tomatoes that year because all the flowers had been picked off. Our potatoes, however, were very, very delicious and very nice. Right, so this is getting, can you see how it's sort of fattening up a bit? That's exactly what we want. This tool just speeds things up, and it also makes it quite smooth. It's got fine needles in, and fine needles always leave the surface a lot smoother. And I'm going to just add a bit more because I can see a little bit of paper here still. I'm going around this edge. You can see this is sort of quite a, it's an activity where you don't have to think too much. So just sit yourself down, churn out those little discs, and then put them together for your full cactus experience. I don't, I will be honest, I have given up on gardening, partially because of children, because never anything stays in one piece in a garden when you've got children. They kick balls around, they fall into the hedges, into the flowers, and then also we've got dogs, so that's never a winner when it comes to gardens. And to top it all, we used to have chickens that were roaming in the garden as well, and there was definitely never a chance of any little shoots or plants coming up. The chickens got to them before they even had a chance. I've moved on to my second shape now. I'm just literally getting it down any old way I can. Now, if you want to make your life a little bit easier, you could be using some wool bats. If you've got some green bats, I'll just show you what you can do is, if you have, say you have some bats that are a bit spare, you can just build up a shape quite fast. In fact, you don't need to use these tops at all. You can just use wool bats and get this done. It really does make a difference because you don't have to mix them to start with, and the bats are just so nice and pre-shaped already. So I'm going to make this from a bat on this side, and then you can cover it to have the consistency of color. You can cover it with a wool tops. I would still mix them up as I've done it. So fold the sides over to get a neater edge, and I'm going to do that now all around. I so want to hear all the exciting things you've done in your garden. I know we've got some very keen gardeners in our regular watching groups, and of course, as soon as the weather is nice, you lot just disappear and abandon us. So yes, don't do that. We don't want you to abandon us. Just keep needle felting, come rain or shine, as they say. Right, so let's get moved on to the next one, because this could potentially be a perfect project for a perfectionist, because you can smooth this wool down so well if you just take a little bit more time and not do it so quickly as I often do it. So please don't think you have to do this as fast as I am doing it. Absolutely not. You can take your time. You could even go down to a smaller needle size in your single needle as well, and make sure that you get this edge nice and fat. So if all fails, just add more wool over the top, which I'm going to do now. So I'm shortening the fiber first, and then I'm crisscrossing them to mix them up and make almost, like I say, an imitation wool bat. So this is completely the opposite to what the wool has been made to look, which is all nicely lined up. I'm now messing it up and mixing it so that it's all tangled up, the fiber, and that helps a lot in the needle felting process, because when in effect stubbing the needle into your wool, you're tangling up the fibers, and if they're already a little bit pre-tangled, that shortens your shortens the time you have to stab them. You don't need to have these multi-tools, they're optional. If you want to persevere just with a single needle, that's absolutely fine. There are other multi-tools. We have we often use a 3 needle felting tool. In fact, it's only got 2 needles in, so I won't even use that. I think my regular 3 needle tool, oh, there's another blue one. I love the clover one the most, so I've just dropped a box. But I think I've got it. Yeah, I can see it. It's across the room on my working desk, so I won't leap up and get it right now. Right, so this is my second shape done. Keep stabbing it, that's all I can say. Just keep stabbing it down. Sometimes you can sort of flatten the fibers a bit by just rubbing it between your fingers as well, or hands. That does make a difference. There we go. So I'm quite happy with these now, and I've got one more to do. Before I do this, I'm just going to show you them what they look like in real life now. Well, not that they were in real life before, but there you go. And before I move on to, well, I can actually just stab away while I'm chatting to you. So we are still full on course to give our Jubilee Mouse an outing. If you haven't seen the Jubilee Mouse yet, you must. Maybe some of you have now got the kit and you're actually busily making them. They are really, I'm just going to put this cactus here because it's a bit forgotten there. So we have kits available to make your platinum colored Jubilee Mouse, and the mouse looks like this. Let me call up a thumbnail. So the new mouse looks like this. He's only tiny in the corner there, but he is meant a very limited edition Jubilee Mouse, obviously for the forthcoming celebration at the beginning of June with the Queen's 70th anniversary on the throne. And I'm sorry if that noise is here in the background, but I am stepping away while I'm talking. You can get your kit now. We have extended our minimum order for free postage. So we've made it still £25, and we're keeping that going until after the bank holiday in May. So you can still make use of this and get the mouse and maybe something else, and then you don't need to pay postage. So it is definitely quite a big saving. If you turned it into percentage, it's 20%, if not more, of a saving. So yeah, so that is not bad, because postage these days is quite expensive. We're using Royal Mail, but anyway, so yeah, you definitely have got a nice saving there. And of course, if something else needed to fall into your shopping basket, then that could potentially be maybe the fairy bundle. We've got 2 new fairy bundles that we're again put together for you as a limited edition. And then we've also got a new wool mix, which we're calling summer wool mix, so with beautiful colors, almost like sweet pea colors in there. It's really a nice color combination there. And then of course we are still raising money for the Ukraine, so you can get your kit that enables £5 to go to the good cause of helping the disaster areas in Ukraine. So it's a humanitarian charity, and that will probably help you to get to your £25 and make use of your free postage. So whilst I've been chatting away, I've also been stabbing away, and I've now got my third disc all done. I'm going to give it a bit of a rub between my hands again. There we go. And now I've got 3 in different sizes, and that's all freestyle, freehand, so no template required. Now I'm going to show you how to put these together. Now I'm winging this a little bit because, like I said, it was originally something that Alicia was going to show me how she did it, but I'm having to make this up myself. So I'm now fastening these together at a slight angle, because sometimes they sort of don't sit right on top of each other, and I'm just overlaid it a little bit, and I'm stabbing into both of them to join them together. You can add a little bit of extra wool if you wish to join them together, but this sort of makes more of a you do want to see a join there, definitely. And then you've got another one, and you can have this sort of coming off even more of a side. And again, just stab it down exactly the same way as the one before. Turn it over and do it on the other side as well. Looks a bit like Mickey Mouse with one ear. And so what I I will do next is I'm going to insert some of that green wire through my cacti, so it's not floppy. It's okay, but it is a little bit floppy. So I'm going to use this green wire that was in the surprise box, and of course I don't have any wire cutters here. What else? So I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm just going to check that it's protruding a little bit here at the bottom, because I want that to stick into the little plant pot. And now I'm going to hopefully manage to get this through the wool. Sometimes you go sort of have like a straight run, and then you have to jiggle it a bit more again. And if it comes out at the other side, like it has done here, don't worry too much about it, because if all fails, you could cover it up with a little bit of wool. I don't think I'm going to go all the way up, so I'm going to stop here because that little bit is quite solid. So now I've got a wire running through it. You can't see it, it's actually coming out there, but I'm not going to do anything else to the wire running through there. What I will, however, do is I'm going to take some brown wool, and now I'm going to build the base here in brown. But before I do this, I want to decorate my little cactus so that it has these lovely yellow spots on there, and then I want to make a couple of flowers that I can attach as well before I put it in the plant pot. Now, to do the yellow spots, you need tiny amounts of yellow. Remember, there's a wire going through there, so be careful. And also what I would suggest is you might want to change to a slightly finer needle to stop the yellow in, because you don't want to go all the way through to the other side, because you're just going to push the wool out on the other side. So it's quite superficial. You're putting these yellow spots on there. Keep them sort of quite focused. A tip is always just wind the wool around the tip of the needle and then stab it in if they're wanting to spread out, and you don't want that to happen. So just put little yellow spots on there and work your way around it. This green wire that is in the green fingers box wasn't, I'm not even sure if we've got it in our regular program. We have got a thicker wire that you can also use. I've used that with the cacti that with the cactus that is standing here. I must remember to say cactus when it's just one, because that of course is the singular use of the word. I had Latin at school. I do know these things, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because that Latin is a bit of a, well, I suppose it's an interesting language. I love grammar, so for that it was great, because if you want lots of grammar, Latin has got it for you. So I'm just putting these little yellow spots on here. So anything with US in, like cactus, for example, in theory, when you make it into the plural, should have the US turns into I. There you go. There's your little lesson. You probably all know that already. So who am I telling? Right, I'm going to put one more on this bottom disc, and then in theory you're going to repeat this on the other side as well. However, just to speed things up a little bit, I'm not going to do that, but what I will show you is, this is what I'm talking about. It comes out at the other side. So you can just add maybe the spots in the same place, or push this in and add them somewhere else, but then you have to go back to the other side and adjust it there as well. Now, to add a little flower onto there, all I'm going to do is I take a wisp of the neon pink, and I just sort of shape it into a little sausage shape, wind it up, and I'll give it a couple of stabs on the mat to make it into a little blossom shape, like a little sausage shape basically. This is a closed blossom. It's obviously not open. No leaves are showing, no petals are showing. And then I'm just going to felt it onto my cactus by stabbing it into the edge. I'm going to do this on the other side as well. So that will fasten it on, and it looks like it's coming out of the green juicy leaf here. And I'll make another one to go on top. Again, just roll the wool up, fold it up any old way really, and then just stub it down. This is where you have to watch your fingers. A useful tip somebody showed me before is you use another needle to pin down your work, and then you can stab it. So instead of using your fingers to pin it down, use another needle and then stab it down, so that you don't have your finger in the way. I don't ever use that. I think I just stab myself instead a lot of the time. But that is a useful tip for those of you who find it maybe a bit scary holding on to something so close where you're stabbing. And I'm going to add this here now. So remember, you're going to put spots on the other side. I'm not going to do that because I've got another cactus to make, and I want to finish this one off first. Oh, nearly pulled that wire out. Let's get that back in again. There. If you wanted to, you could go all the way to the top. You'd have to sort of go at a slight angle. I don't know if this wire is strong enough to do that, but it's not fluffy and floppy anymore, so that's fine. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use a strand of the brown wool, and you can prepare your little plant pot by putting some glue into it. Again, I don't think I've brought my glue bottle either. It's very frustrating when I'm working from 2 desks, and I do have everything double, but with the glue I often run out, and it's definitely not on this side. But ideally what you do is you put a bit of glue into your little plant pot, because that will help to secure the cactus in there. But for now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap the end of that wire, and I'm even going to bend it because I don't want the wire to come out of that brown wool again. And now you're going to make sure that it fits into the plant pot so that the wire is actually covered. So this is not the case. So in that case, I'm going to bend it again, just so that, yeah, now it's nice and deep in there. And you're going to wrap the wool around the base so that you are slowly but surely building up the part that sits inside the pot. And at this point you don't need to needle felt at all. Just keep wrapping this part, and now and then just check what it looks like when you put it in there. There's quite a lot of air still there, though it's not too bad actually. It's not too bad. So maybe another little wrap, and then I will felt it so that the top of the soil looks flat inside the pot. There we go. If you wanted to, you can give it a couple of stabs just so that it doesn't fluff open. And ideally, what as I said, you put a little bit of glue into the pot, so that it doesn't. It's better to look slightly too big than too small, because if you stuff it down like you do when you plant a real plant, you would stuff the soil around the sides. You can now use your felting needle and just felt it into place. And that is how you would make a little cactus. And the brown wool looks very, very realistic in that little plant pot. So you just felt it down. Make sure you don't hit the terracotta pot or whatever you're using, because that would break your needle, no doubt. There we go. And now I have got a cactus to go with the first one. There you go. This is the one that I've just made. This is the one I made earlier. So that's one type of cactus that you can make quite easily by using green wool mainly, or if you want to, you can still get our green finger surprise box. And just to remind you, this is what you get in there. Little plant pots, some paper flowers, you get 4 different types of wool, some green wire, stem wire, and of course the terracotta pot, if I haven't mentioned that already, and it's £15, and that's a limited supply. These are just the last few boxes that we have got left. And if you have been buying from us in April, you will have seen that a free instruction on the back of our newsletter that allows you to make those pom-pom flowers as well. So they're all made from the box there as well. And as I said, the yellow and the yellow and the pink will make orange. So you've got a nice another color that you could find a use for. So the other cactus I want to make is slightly different. It's this one here. So it's a taller cactus. Again, it's inside the flower pot, and it's got a little needle felted, fat little juicy flower on top of there. And I'm going to show you how to do that next. Now, normally, as I say, I fill a lot of this time by checking in with people and see what they're commenting. And today's question was about what's your best and worst gardening experience. But nevertheless, what I will say is please give us the thumbs up when you're watching this, especially on this video, but also sign up to our YouTube channel so that you don't ever miss out on any free tutorials that we are streaming weekly. And of course, they stay on our YouTube channel. There's a whole playlist where you can find different types of tutorials. Some of them are all about fairies, some of them are about how to use our product, some of them are just about techniques, and some of them are a full beginning to end make along where you can watch it anytime later. Pause me if you need to catch up or if you need to make yourself a cup of tea, and then you get the tutorial from beginning to end. Some of our tutorials support the kits that we have got, so it's worth checking if you buy a kit from us to see whether we have got a tutorial for that kit. So you get the kit that has got everything in there, including tools, how to make the project, plus the instructions. But it depends how you learn and how you like to be taught. Some people need to see it happen in front of their eyes, and if that is you, then these video tutorials are a perfect place for you to come. And remember, they are free. And we don't monetize from our YouTube channel, so that you don't have to put up with any advertising as well, other than me talking about our products. But that's not advertising, that's just sharing things you need to know, basically. Right, so I'm going to start now on this little one. And this starts slightly different in that I'm starting out with a brown now. And what I want to make is I'm making the core and the shape of the cactus first. So this is the inner here is brown. This one I didn't, no, I didn't glue it in. So you can see it's like literally like pulling a cactus out of a plant pot. There you can see that that is basically the shape I'm aiming for. And to do this, I'm going to roll this wool up into a sausage shape initially, just that much. And with this one, I am felting it down as I go. The good thing is you're not aiming for a particular perfect shape, and because we're adding a lot of surface color onto it. And if that is not the way Alicia has made her cactus, I do apologize profusely. But you, with needle felting, as I've said it, I don't know too often to remember how often I've said it, you can get to the same result in so many different ways. It's actually astonishing. So nobody could probably tell that it's been done in a different way. Right. So what I'm going to do next is now have to make sure that this part, which is going to be the part that will fit into the plant pot, kind of is nice and solid, so that when it goes in, I can really squeeze it in and push the sides down again as before. So I'm now adding wool where it's required. So I'm going around the base here first, felt it down a little. None of this is felted very solidly because I want there to be some squishiness in it, so I can squish it into the plant pot and then felt it more solidly once it's in there. So that's beginning to take shape here. And now I want to add a little bit more to the top as well, so that it's not so pointy. So you can see I'm taking strips off the wool and I'm just wrapping it around it, smooth it over, and then give it a bit of a stab. You can use a multi-tool for this. It does speed your work up, most definitely, especially the 3 needle felting tool, whether you're using the more economical version, the blue one, or whether you're opting for the much nicer but also more expensive clover 3-needle tool, or the 3-needle pen, I think that's what they're actually called. Either will do a good job for you, and this blue tool works perfectly fine here. Felting it. So the top I'm felting down a lot firmer compared to the squishiness of the bottom. That's a lot more firm here at the top, because I'm going to lay layers over the top, so I do want there to be quite a fairly solid base. And I'm just going to go over the bit that goes in the plant pot again, because I want that to be nice and squishy. Yeah, that's good. Okay, great. So that's my shape now. I'm happy with this. This cactus will also be a little bit smaller. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to use these long fibers in their full length, or in the way that they actually have the fibers running, and I'm going to broaden it out a bit, and I'm going to put maybe 4 or so strips onto the cactus now, going round the bottom. Have you seen that I've folded it under? And then I'm going up, and I'm going to fold this so it meets at the top. So I'm just fastening it at the bottom and at the top, and now I'm going down to a medium needle, and I'm felting this down along the cactus. The idea is that whenever you put another strip of wool next to it, that you can actually tell that there are different colors side by side. So we're not trying to make it uniform, we're actually trying to get that variegation in there, and even have a bit of white. I'll spread that out, felt it down at the bottom, and then go up and shape that top, so that it's tucked in at the top as well. Remember, we're putting a flower at the top, so we can cover up anything up there with a flower as well. And I'm just felting that down. Sometimes you can get these cacti that have got almost sort of like an indentation, and then ridges where along it. So this is what I'm trying to aim for. If you are a complete cactus nerd, they are out there, they name their cactus, nothing wrong with that, I'm just saying, then maybe we should have had that. What names have your cactus got? Maybe some of you have got cactus with names. Tell us what the names are. If you're watching this live, pop it into the comments, because I'm always amazed how people name their cactus like normal people, like Fred or Kevin, which I think is hilarious. Yes, it's very special when a cactus flowers. I give you that. It makes you feel really, really special if you're a cactus mum or dad. So yes, do let us know if you've got a cactus, if he's got a name. That would be great. But in the meantime, to win yourself a £15 voucher, you do need to tell us what your best or worst gardening experience has been. Give us it in full, and that of course is only during our live stream on the 26th of April on YouTube, and the 29th of April on Facebook. I think I got that right. Yes, that's it. Did I get that right? 28th on Facebook. So the unboxing of our subscription boxes usually happens round about the end or right at the beginning of a new month, at the end of the old month or the beginning of the new month. But because we've got a bank holiday in the way, we are going to do it on, I think it's Monday the 2nd of May. So watch out for that. And especially if you get a taste for our subscription boxes, that's always a good way to get introduced to them. Right, so I've now made a top here, still a bit messy at some points, and it probably doesn't look quite how you want it to look at this point. In fact, you can't probably tell unless you know what I'm doing. You can't tell what I'm actually doing. So what you can do is pop it into the plant pot and just see what it looks like. Now there's a lot of it's popping out at the moment, but that is because you haven't felted this down yet. Again, you can put a bit of glue into the plant pot. I'm just going to stab the wool in now, and for this I'm using my coarse needle. Remember, try to avoid stabbing into the terracotta pot. It's definitely not gonna make your needle very happy. Sometimes you can use 2 needles side by side. It makes it so much more efficient if you can hold 2 needles side by side. And suddenly, can you see how it's actually disappearing? The wool's disappearing. Because I haven't glued it in, I can actually take it out again and add a bit more wool if need be, but that's only because I've kept the base quite soft. And I'm just going to show you now how to add a flower to this little cactus. I do like these cactus tops because they do give quite an authentic look what cactus have. Sort of a variegated look, and sometimes they've got shinier parts and duller parts and darker bits and lighter bits. And you can, of course, still felt on there a lot more. I'm not quite sure how you would do thorns, like big spikes coming out. There is a cactus, I don't know if it's the same in English language, but it's one of these big round cactus with big spiky thorns and spikes sticking out. And in German that is called the mother-in-law throne. So I don't know what you call that in English, but that they call it the mother-in-law throne. I think maybe it's referring to the fact that many people would like their mother-in-law to sit on it. Because maybe they're not very nice. I don't know. Oh dear. But yeah, there you go. And I'm just making, again, freestyling. It's not dissimilar to the little flower that I put on the other ones, like a little sausage, but it's probably a little bit more petal shape. So I'm shaping this in my hands. Just keep folding it over, and then I'm stabbing it with a needle. I'm aiming for 5 of these. They're going to be joined together in a minute, and then I'm going to felt them onto the top of the cactus. Again, don't stab too deep because you do want to just make that shape rather than stabbing the fibers through to the other side and into the felting mat. It's going to be a bit of a fat one. And yeah, you can manipulate a lot of the shaping as you are stabbing into it on your felting mat. Again, as I said, if you find that a little bit too dangerous, then use another needle to instead of the hand that's holding onto your shape. And they're sort of, I don't know, as long as the shapes are relatively the same size, it doesn't really matter if they are a bit unshapely, as long as they're all the same. Or you can spend a long time to make very precise petals. That's also fine. And that's number 4. And then we just need one more after that. Almost done. I don't think I've got any other gardening experiences to share with you. I think I could get into gardening, to be honest, if I had more time and if I felt that nobody and nothing would destroy it. It's so disheartening. I've spent so much money on plants, and yeah, just I think once I bought a really beautiful clematis, I put it in the garden, and then literally within the next day, one of my children had kicked a football into it, and it was just torn in half, and that was the end of that. So I think I've learned my lesson. I'm not doing it anymore. Right, now you're going to fasten these together very briefly at the end. We're just stabbing into the end. They're slightly overlapping. There. And then adding one after another. So in effect, you're flattening the part that will become the middle of the flower a bit down. Whilst you're, at the moment I'm fastening it also onto my felting mat, but that's quite okay because it keeps it in place. And in a minute I just have to gently tease it off. So it's actually probably only the first couple of petals that are a bit tricky to fasten on. So once you've got them felted together. Just be careful in teasing them off. You might find that you have to do a little bit more work here. You could, at this point, add a little bit of pink in the middle. That will just make that part a bit more solid, and it doesn't matter that it spills out because it's the same color as the petal, so you can't really tell. The aim is that we're going to put a little yellow center in there, and which is happening now. So I'm just literally scrunching up a bit of yellow, put that in the center, felt it down, and here we go. We've got a little flower to sit on top of the cactus, and I'm just positioning it on top of the cactus. It can be sort of slightly to the side, and then just felting it down by stabbing more into the center. I just use my slightly thicker needle for that. If for whatever reason the yellow gets too pushed in, then you can always add a little bit more yellow on top again. But that's basically how you would fasten your flower onto the cactus. There you go. And we've got a nice little, that's the one I made earlier, that's the one I made today. There you go. And that is basically the end of the cactus tutorial. Two cactus here, two cacti, get this right, Steffi, to join the other two over there on the shelf. If you want to share your makes, then please join our Facebook group, Everyone a Maker. That's also where you often find the first news of what's going on with the makers. It is a makers biased group, so we do ask you to only post things that are relevant to the makers, their products and ideas. And we always love to see what you're doing. And if ever you need help or feedback, post questions there. Our Instagram handle is @themakers with 2 S's, so feel free to share anything on there as well and tag us. And if you, sometimes we share it in our stories as well, so please do that. Our YouTube channel, as you know, because you're here now, please join and subscribe and keep watching our tutorials. We love not being on our own when we do this. And I think, oh yes, one thing I will say is we have got a summer retreat coming up at the in the middle of July, 15th to the 17th of July. And if you are interested, then you can come and join us and make Eric the Viking, Eric the Blood Axe Viking, to be more precise. And what you can see here are the bell tents, which I think most of the accommodation that we've got left is in bell tents. And if you ask me if I wanted to sleep in a bed or in a bell tent, I sleep in a bell tent anytime. This is not glamping, it is camping. You will have to bring your own bedding. We do leave you a camping mat. In fact, I will be very generous and give you a few, so that you're not lying on too hard a floor. Most of these bell tents are put up on a wooden platform, so that keeps it nice and dry and away from the grass, but it also means that the floor is a little bit harder than you might expect. The price includes everything that you everything basically. You don't need to bring anything other than the bedding and your towels, and you will get full tuition of how to make a posable large figure. It doesn't have to be a Viking. You can choose a different character if you like, and he's quite big. He's definitely sort of more than 50, he's definitely 50 centimeters rather than smaller than that. So please do consider it and get in touch. It's info@themakers.co.uk, and as soon as the winner has been picked by Alicia in our live stream, then you can also contact us on info@themakers. Let us know that you're the winner, and then we will get in touch with you and let you have your £15 gift voucher. This is only valid during our live streams on YouTube and on Facebook. And what else can I tell you? We have got the upcoming sub boxes. So this is something to look forward to, because that's the next live stream that will happen after this one. And it will be the little owl, Queen Bee Fairy, and the street party as the surprise box. The surprise box street party you won't see very much because I'm not allowed to show you. But the other two, what we normally do is we'll give you some technical bits and advice on the makers box, and then the Queen Bee Fairy will come as a live stream also. And whilst I'm at it, these are the upcoming live streams, namely we've got the unboxing, so forget about this one. Then straight away the day after, we've got the hoglets in part 1 and 2. They are a make from the Making Needle Felted Animals book. So if you've got that and you've always wondered how to make them, you can watch it. And then on Tuesday, the 17th of May, we will be making the Queen Bee Fairy from our fairy subscription box. And you're very welcome to join and join and make your fairy alongside this live stream. Right, that's all from me. Congratulations of those who have been picked as winners. Well done, and hope you spent your money well. Remember, it's a good time to spend it and add a bit more to it so that you make use of the free postage on any orders, £25 or more, and that will still last throughout the whole May bank holiday weekend. So until Tuesday, forgotten now already what day Tuesday is. Tuesday the 3rd. Yeah, so it finishes on Monday, bank holiday Monday, and then on Tuesday it will be back to normal. Right, back to normal means £40 or more will qualify for free postage. This is all within the UK, I should say. Okay, that's all from me. I really am looking forward to seeing you when you're all there properly with me again. Hopefully, well, I know that will be when I'm doing the unboxing next. So I look forward to that. And in the meantime, keep those cacti coming, and share them with us on our Everyone a Makeup Facebook group, or tag us on Instagram. And take care, everybody. Lots of love. Bye.